We heard so many times, like, I was not going to miss a gay wedding in the Deep South. Like, how's that going to go? Stephanie's just like, guys, we're leaving in 5 minutes. I'm like, okay. And I get in the car. I'm like, where are we going? What is happening? We're in. She's like, tell me. We're going to baseball practice. But it always makes me laugh when people say she had her sense of humor to the end. And I always thought it would be so funny to put in my obituary that I lost my sense of humor in the end. Like, and unfortunately, she did lose her sense of humor.
I'm Rachel Martin, and this is Wildcard, the show where cards control the conversation. My guest this week is Tig Notaro. Tig Notaro has built a career dissecting her own life. In her stand-up, podcasts, even a TV show. But in her latest creative project, Tig turned the spotlight on a close friend of hers, the poet Andrea Gibson. Andrea died from cancer last year. Tig produced a documentary about Andrea's incredible life. It is called Come See Me in the Good Light, and I am so very happy to welcome Tig Notaro to Wildcard. Hi.
Hi.
It's a beautiful, beautiful movie.
Thank you.
And we'll talk about it. But for the moment, you want to play a game?
That's why I'm here.
Okay, so this is round one, memories.
Yeah.
First 3 cards, just pick randomly, 1, 2, or 3.
I'll take 2.
2. At what point in your life did you spend the most time alone?
The most time alone, I would say. I've lived in Colorado a couple of different times, and the first time that I moved there when I was a teenager, like I dropped out of high school and got a job, saved my money to move, and I was so scared and excited to start my life, be responsible for all things good and bad that were...
Wait, how old were you?
Like 18 or 19, something like that.
Okay.
And didn't know anybody.
Because you grew up in Mississippi.
And
That's
Texas.
a long ways away.
Mississippi
Texas, I'm
and
sorry.
Texas, both of those
Mississippi
places.
and Texas. Okay.
But my mother went to college in Gunnison, Colorado, western state. And my father had lived in Colorado. I just always heard about it. And then this childhood friend, Shannon, and I decided to go on a we told our parents we were going to Galveston Beach in Texas for the weekend, or maybe for a week. I don't know what we told them, but we drove to Colorado and like camped on the side of a river, on the side of a mountain, and had no idea that there was like a prison around the corner from us. And like, but it was so beautiful. It was just like, oh, this is why my mother only talks.
It's real pretty there.
Yeah, about Colorado. And so.
But then it started as a camping trip, and then you were just like, just kidding, I live here now.
Well, I was like, I gotta go. First of all, we got caught. Shannon, our parents didn't know where we were, and Shannon's boyfriend cracked and told on us, and then
spilled the beans.
Yeah, we when I say we got in trouble, my mother actually was just thrilled that I was alive, and she took me out for Mexican food and wanted to see all the pictures. But she was like, "Oh, sweetie, you cannot do that ever again. But let me see the pictures." And so, but yeah, after I visited Colorado, I was like, man, this feels like home to me. And and so I packed up. I got a job at an apartment, and I started going to coffee shops and open mics, and just trying to show up places where I thought like-minded people would be. And I was very lonely, but I was very excited for. I just felt like my life was there, and it turned out it was. But I was alone for quite a while before I gathered my crew.
3 more. 1, 2, or 3.
1.
1. What was a moment when you felt proud of yourself as a kid?
I felt this is so dumb. I was proud of myself about like a joke I had made, and I couldn't believe how funny this joke was, and I was probably 7 or something, and I was in the lunchroom, and a friend of mine had one of those little, little tiny bags of Fritos.
Yeah. Little snack bag.
Yeah, snack
out of the
bag.
vending machine.
Sure.
Yeah.
And they opened it they were having that with their lunch, and they opened the bag, and the bag was upside down.
Okay.
But I made the joke. I was like, oh, I said, all of your Fritos are upside down now. And I thought that concept tickled me to no end. And I couldn't believe, and my friend was a little like, oh, but I was really lost in my own head of like, wow, that is really clever. And honestly, I stand by it, and I still think it's a good one.
Was that you were like, oh, this is fun? I'm funny.
Well,
even if people don't like, I'm funny, and maybe I can.
I mean,
keep
I was
being
already. Funny. I mean, out of the gate, I was that kid that was always making jokes in class, and when I was in 7th grade, my friend Dana, we were playing on the street, and she said, my mom thinks that you could be a comedian one day. And I was like, oh my God. Like, it was so, I felt so seen, because I felt like my comedy was a little bit a negative in my life, because I was always getting in trouble for being funny, and I was using it to disrupt my class, and I made things difficult for my teachers, and but also to give my teachers a lot of credit. They were very patient with me. They were very patient with me.
But when that mom, what was the mom's name or the kid's name?
My friend's name was Dana, and the mother's name was
Dana's
Mrs.
mom.
White.
Mrs. White, that's right. Yeah, Mrs. White.
Yeah.
But when Dana relayed this to you, that her mom thought that you really had something, was that? I mean, did you know what a comedian was?
Oh, yeah.
Was that
I just always felt like the bad kid that was always in trouble, and so to be seen by somebody in that way, was pretty incredible.
Yeah. Okay, last one in this round. 1, 2, or 3?
I gotta go with 3 now.
Let's do it. What's a place that shaped you just as much as any person did?
I would have to say Mississippi. Growing up there, it's like all of those things that you take for granted and you don't realize that they shaped you. That I remember not knowing that my family was full of characters. I had no clue until I grew up and moved away and brought girlfriends home with me to Mississippi to meet my family, my cousins. And my friends would be like, they're like out of a storybook. And I was like, what do you mean? And they were like, what do you mean? What do I mean? Like, listen to these people. And I remember, I'd share stories of like, oh yeah, my brother and I would water ski in the swamps, and they're like, with alligators? And I was like, well, yeah, but I didn't see them. But there was like it was Mississippi, but it was also Mississippi in the 70s. It's a lot of like, hopping in the back of a pickup truck and drinking a Barks root beer out of a bottle while you're going over the railroad track, and maybe you chip your tooth. And maybe
I'm from Idaho. We did a lot of traveling in the backs of pickup trucks. Yeah. It's very similar.
I love the feeling of a full house, of everyone just crashing on couches and sharing beds. And when Stephanie and I got married, we got married in my hometown. Like, she really loves Mississippi and my family, and was she was just shocked by how much she responded. Because when we first met, she was like, Mississippi, wow, okay. Like she just thought everybody was poor with no shoes, sitting on, front porches.
Yeah.
And listen, there's plenty of that too, but that wasn't my family. But so we decided to get married in Mississippi, and I had all of these, just like bearded comedian guys crashing at my cousin's house, like sleeping on couches and piled up in different rooms, and my cousin's wife going through the whole house with her thick accent, peeking into each room saying, how many bears do you want? And people, what do you say? How many bears? How many bears do you want? She was walking.
Bears?
Bears. She had teddy bears. She was walking room to room asking these bearded, drunk comedians that were broke, crashing all around her house, like if they wanted a teddy bear to sleep with. And just asking as though it was like a typical thing.
Totally
like,
normal
Yeah,
thing.
You're sleeping here.
It's nighttime.
Yeah,
You're going
nighttime,
to bed.
So how many bears do you want? And she's walking around.
As if someone could say more than one, too.
Absolutely.
They were like, I'd like 4.
She had
Thank you.
all of these bears in her arms, and how many do you want? And but like all of that it's amazing.
Yeah.
And
Characters.
Yeah, absolute characters.
Hey, everybody. Ever since we launched Wildcard, there is one thing that you have asked about more than anything else. Where can I get the Wildcard deck? We hear it constantly. You've been very patient, and I'm so excited to finally announce that it is here, the Wildcard deck. It's available at the NPR shop. You can find it at shopnpr.org. And we've selected some of our very favorite questions from the show, and we made this custom deck for you, our audience. It is just a phenomenal way to think about your own memories, insights, and beliefs over dinner with the family, maybe on a road trip with friends. It's a way to connect and learn new things about people you are just meeting or people you have known all of your life. Check it out at shopnpr.org. We are so excited for you to try it out. Again, shopnpr.org. Wildcard deck. We're going to pull out of the game. We'll come back to it. But let's talk about your movie.
All right.
It's a beautiful thing.
Thanks.
It's called Come See Me in the Good Light.
Yes.
Andrea Gibson is this phenomenal poet. They were the poet laureate in Colorado.
Yes.
And they had personal relationships with you and several of the other people who were instrumental in making this happen.
Mainly me and Steph Willen. Steph Willen, Andrea and I all knew each other from, I think Steph had met Andrea actually a couple of years before I met Andrea.
Okay.
And then Ryan White, the director, and his producing partner, Jessica Hargrave. And we would run into each other at events and premieres, and they were just like, if you ever have a film to pitch us, let us know. We'd love to make something funny. And it was wild because I call him and I'm like, hey, I said, I have this idea that I wanted to bring to you, and I pitch it, and they're like, okay, interesting. Non-binary poet with stage 4 ovarian cancer. Doesn't sound terribly funny, but I was like, Andrea was truly one of the funniest people I knew. And and as devastating as the movie can be at moments, it's also very funny in moments. And
totally.
And they actually, as we've been screening this film at the different festivals, Ryan and Jess say this is actually the funniest movie we've ever made.
What was Andrea's reaction to this idea, this proposition of following them through these, what ended up being some of their last months or year?
Yeah.
And Megan, their partner.
Yeah. Andrea and Meg were both very open to it. And, one of the things that Andrea said was like, it's like a garden hose. If you bend it, you cut everything off. And that means like with your emotions, like if you cut it all off you're going to cut off all of the good and the bad. And so Andrea was all for letting it flow, whether it was no matter what it was, and I always describe Andrea as somebody who felt that everything on this planet was so, so precious. And then also nothing was too precious. And you could have a deep, deep, inappropriate laugh with Andrea as much as you could just reach the deep, deep depths of human emotion. And Andrea's poetry, live performances, it was quite the roller coaster because you could be in tears and then seconds later be laughing so hard. Andrea could have been a stand-up comedian, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure. What was it like to watch Andrea watch people watch the film at the premiere at Sundance? Because you did get that opportunity. I imagine I would have been watching Andrea the whole time to see what their reaction would be.
Yeah. I kept checking in. Before the movie, Andrea was so nervous.
Yeah.
Pacing like, oh gosh. Just, it's so vulnerable. There was a documentary made about me a decade ago, and I remember that feeling of it's when you put anything out in the world, TV show or stand-up special, podcast, whatever it is, it's like, God, like, what are people going to think? And but when it's that vulnerable, it's something. And I think being in that theater it was a sold-out Sundance premiere, and within minutes you could feel the audience holding all of the devastation, all of the comedy, everything. Just they were in. And I remember, you could see Andrea settle in, and right after the movie, it was clear. Andrea loved this movie.
Well, congratulations again on making it. Yeah, it's a really beautiful, beautiful thing.
Thank you.
Let's play more of this game about you. Round 2. This is Insights. 3 new cards. 1, 2, or 3.
Let's go 3.
Let's go there. What's an irrational fear you can't shake?
I can't say that I can't shake it. I've slowly been shaking it. And it's, I'm a bit of a germaphobe.
Are you?
I am. And I remember before I had kids, I've always loved children. I used to work with children. But when I would see babies crawl around on the floor, I would, and I always wanted children, but I was like, I would see other people's babies crawling around, dragging their onesie and feet and face, everything along the floor.
Like putting their hand in their mouth.
Yes, yeah. And I was just like, oh my gosh, how does a parent pick up their child after they've been dragging their body and just snuggle in and give kisses? I was like, ugh, gosh. And then as soon as...
That's why parents are sick all the time.
Yeah, truly. But as soon as I had my kids, it's like it did not even cross my mind. They could have been rolling around with like a dead animal, like as dogs do. And I'd just be like, yep, there's my kid. And that's how they smell. But I didn't have it as a kid. I think where I got it was as a comedian and going on tour. A lot of the lower level comedy clubs that you kind of, not everyone. Some people have the luxury of just launching into all the A-list clubs. I was doing some grungy C-list clubs that are in shopping centers and, strip malls. And
maybe they don't have super clean bathrooms.
Well, not just that. they don't put you up at a hotel. They put you in the quote unquote comedy condo, which is a gross place. And I know that my germ issues developed in these grimy places that the majority of comedians coming through were the bearded, drunk comics that were crashing.
That's right. Sleeping on your couch.
Yeah. So that's where my issues were born.
Honestly, I think that sounds pretty rational. Okay. Another one. 1, 2, or 3.
I'm going to go 1.
What do you find most difficult to model for children in your life?
What do I find most difficult to model for children in my life? I am going to flip it to you. Is that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you can flip that. I mean, I have answered this in different ways. I think I just always come back to the fact that I'm an incredibly impatient person.
Okay.
Like a very impatient person. And it is my blind spot. It is my thing I'm working on to be a better person. It is my everything. Mm-hmm. It is my albatross. And it is also the thing I have a hard time modeling for my kids, is how to just move through life accepting things that you can't control. Mm-hmm. And that could be traffic. That could be the pace at which your father moves out of the house. That's a big one. Mm-hmm. I like it because their father, I love you so much, is constitutionally a slow-moving human. Uh-huh. And I want to be everywhere early because who knows what could happen between point A and point B that could derail us and we would be late and that would be rude. Is she an early bird?
Oh my gosh, is she an early bird?
She is.
Yes, she is. And our son, Finn, Stephanie was filming a movie in London for almost 2 months, and my kids call me Mare, and I was in bed at 6:45, something like that. And Stephanie had already been gone for 2 weeks. We had already been getting to school. We'd been doing, everything was moving along just fine. But one morning he came in and he was like, Mare, I'm making breakfast for myself. Max hasn't eaten yet, and we have to be out the door by 7:40. And I was like, Finn, I know. And he's like, okay, I was just letting you know. And like another day, he was like, Mare, today's swim at school, so we have to make sure our swimsuits and our towels are in the.
That's right.
And I'm like, I know. I show up for my stand-up shows. I walk in the back door, maybe 2 minutes before showtime.
Oh, God.
And so my assistant is in touch with the venue, letting them know my ETA and, And so I walk in the back door, I walk on stage, I do my show, and I walk out the back door. But
efficiency.
Yeah.
Efficiency.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't want to waste time.
Honestly, I think it was from when I was so sick in 2012. And I had cancer, I had a intestinal disease, I had all sorts of stuff going on. And I remember after that sitting in green rooms at comedy clubs thinking, I don't need to be here before the show this long. Like I'm adding up how much time of my life is sitting in a green room.
Yeah.
So
you're like, I'm not going to do that anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I
love that. Okay, but yeah, you have to answer this.
Okay,
now.
So as far as modeling, I just actually, when Stephanie was filming in London, I told her, I said, the other day, and our kids are, nobody in our family is perfect, but I would say our kids are really, really good.
Almost there.
But they're really good. Like they listen to us. They're really sweet. And when they have a little moment where it's
misstep.
Yeah. That I noticed a tone in my voice I don't like.
Mm.
Where I'm like, why would you do that kind of thing? Like, what are you doing? Why would, and of course I'm human and things can be irritating and frustrating. But I was saying to Stephanie, I said, I just feel like we should probably just be really even more aware of how we all talk to each other, how we talk to our kids. And she said, absolutely, you're right. But again, I don't want to paint a picture like we're talking terribly to them, or not to bring it to a totally dark place. But our friends lost their son when he was a little boy. And she, I remember, said, I hear parents talking about how frustrated they get when their kids get up in the middle of the night and want to get in bed, or they, wake them up, or, and she said, I would give anything in the world for Georgie to wake me up in the night and want to get in bed with me. And that stuck with me so deeply. And it puts things into perspective when I can feel myself not being connected or present with something. And that's one of those moments where I'm like, man, if anything ever happened, I'd give anything for my kid to be arguing with his brother or forgetting his homework, or I would give anything to have a problem like that. And so, so that was a moment that I thought I need to really think about how I'm responding to things in my life.
I'm so sorry about your friend. How long ago was that she lost her friend?
That was 3 years ago, I believe. I believe he was 9 at the time.
Oh, good God!
And he was a twin. He has a sister. But yeah, man, that's awful. It really puts things into perspective.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
And out of also respect and memory and love for their family, I want to do the right thing.
Yep. I will remember that for a long time.
Yes.
Okay. Last one in this round. 1, 2, or 3.
I'm going to do 2.
When do you feel most like an outsider?
I feel most like an outsider. I mean, this is so Hollywood of me, but on a red carpet. I'm just like, get me out of here. Every time I'm at a red carpet, I'm like, I should have a pose. I should talk to somebody and figure out what I'm supposed to do.
Like Steve Jobs' outfit. Yeah. Like just one thing that you do every time.
Right. Oh, trust me, I have the outfit. One time for everything. In fact, I had 3 red carpets this week that I had to go to. And Jess, the producer of the documentary, she was like, she said, so do you get it clean between? And I was like, oh, no. I was like, no, this this suit got cleaned beginning of the week. And then I'm just,
that's right.
Yeah, I'm just.
Yeah, you're just in it.
I'm in it.
Just
I'm sleeping
right
in it. And I'm getting in another. Like even last night, Jess was laughing at me because she was in the car service that pulled up to get me. We were going to the Governor's Awards, which is like if your project is in the conversation for the Oscars, you're invited to this. And they give honorary Oscars, like one to Tom Cruise and Dolly Parton and all these different people last night. But I got in the car in my recycled suit. Saying, now where are we going? What is this? And she was like, oh my God, you don't know what you're doing. You just get in the car with me.
You just put the suit on, get in the car.
Yeah, I told that to Stephanie as we were falling asleep last night. And she goes, that's how you get into every car. You don't know where you're going. She was like, Stephanie's just like, guys, we're leaving in 5 minutes. I'm like, okay. And I get in the car. I'm like, where are we going? What is happening? She's like, we're going to baseball practice. But yeah, so I'm out of my element there.
Okay. The red carpet.
Yeah.
I hear you. We're at the last round.
Okay.
This is the beliefs round. 1, 2, or 3.
Let's do 1.
1. What's the most religious thing about you?
I don't even know how to answer this.
You can skip it.
Oh, great. Let's do that. I forgot.
Skip it. This is my game. Okay. Oh, but sorry, you don't escape the topic. It's more specific.
Okay.
Have your feelings about God changed over time?
You know, I am not a religious person. I was raised Catholic, but I was not raised in a house where nobody ever talked about religion. And but honestly, after Andrea died, I've had a very I had the honor of being with Andrea in Andrea's final days, and it was quite an experience. I still feel like I'm on mushrooms or something with what I experienced, what I witnessed. And after Andrea died, I was in Colorado for the summer, and I was getting up at like 6 a.m, and I didn't know what to do with my thoughts and feelings and the experience. I was waking up and taking hikes at 6 a.m, watching the sun come up over the mountains, and I was so full of so much, and I was experiencing these what would be called signs that I never really experienced before, and I've found myself open to not knowing what those signs and experiences are, and I guess it's the closest I've felt to anything remotely religious or spiritual, and I'm just allowing myself to be in it.
Did you see the same sign over and over that represented something to you, or you saw things that reminded you of Andrea that you couldn't dismiss as coincidence?
Yeah, I think it was more that I couldn't dismiss as coincidence, and Steph Willen, who is the other who pitched the idea to me. And then I pitched to Ryan and Jess. But Steph is very similar to me in the way we view the world and respond to any kind of spiritual or religious event or idea. And it's really putting us both to the test. And we have these kind of funny, awkward conversations where Steph made me laugh so hard. She was like, she said, "Tig, I was outside and this hummingbird came over, and I was like looking at it, and it would fly away and then fly closer and kind of hover around." And Steph said, "And I swear, Tig, I was sitting there by myself, and I just went, Andrea." To the bird,
Yes.
She was like, she said, "But I was just sitting there by myself and was just like, Andrea, is that you? Like, just, come on, is that?" And that is not anything in a million years that you would have.
That's not her thing.
No
Right.
way in hell.
Right.
And
she's not that person.
But she is open, and she's, but it made me laugh so hard.
It's the kind of stuff that happens to you, and you're like, every ounce of my rational self wants to dismiss this, and it just feels like I can't because it's too profound.
Yeah. And I also
what a lovely thing.
Kind of don't even feel like Andrea is gone. It's that the depths of the experiences we've all been feeling is like, I mean, I know Andrea. Meg calls it Andrea's alleged passing. So that's where we're all kind of.
But doesn't that make sense? I didn't know Andrea, but I knew Andrea's work.
Yeah.
And if anyone had that capacity to linger around, wouldn't it have been them?
Yes.
Yeah. When my mom died, my mom always loved I Just Called to Say I Love You by Stevie Wonder. And so that was my thing. I mean, yes, radio stations play it. It's a song that is played.
Yes.
It's not like so exceptional.
Yeah.
It's not like some deep cut. But it would come on in like the weirdest places. Like for the first few weeks that she died, it would be like elevators, the radio, like in a restaurant bathroom, in a grocery store. And I was like, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
You just called to say you love me. I get it.
Well, I had a
point taken.
I had a very crazy experience. Meg had come out to LA for a screening and stayed with me, and Steph was there, and we were talking about this this project we're all going to work on that is Andrea related, that we're very excited about. But so we spent this time like, okay, this is the idea, and just ruminating. Let's not make any quick moves. Let's just really think about this and see if it feels right. And then Meg leaves, and then I go to London with my sons to visit Stephanie. And the first day we woke up, and if you remember in the documentary, Meg and Andrea's song was "You're Still the One" by Shania Twain. And I land in London with Max and Finn, our sons, and we spend the night. We wake up the next day. Stephanie's working, and I take them into the village of the little area where we were, where our hotel was. And this is our first day. And we walk into the town, very tiny little village. There is a man standing alone, singing at the top of his lungs, "You're Still the One" by Shania Twain. And it just stopped me in my tracks. I was like, oh my God. I said, Max and Finn, I said, this is Andrea and Meg's song. And I got my phone out and just got this footage of the back of my sons, their little heads watching and like really taking in. They're like, whoa, wow. And they just quietly watched as this man sang it so beautifully. And then the very next day, Stephanie's mother had come in town, and we were meeting her and Stephanie for high tea. Of course, because we were in England.
Yes,
and
as you do.
This woman comes in to the cafe and plops down this gigantic harp, and we're all like laughing, like, oh boy, here goes our high tea. And
no.
Yes.
Stop.
Yes. The first song.
You're Still the One on the harp?
On the harp. And I got my phone out and I film it, and I turn to Max and Finn and I said, "Do you know what this is?" And they were stunned. These two little 9-year-olds. They said, "That's Meg and Andrea's song." And I said, "Okay, so I'm not losing my mind?"
Yeah, right. You're the witness.
I have
this is also happening.
Both examples on video, and I sent it to Meg the first day. I sent her the man singing alone. And she said, "I am weeping. I'm weeping." And then the next day I said, "Meg, I don't even know what to do." I was like, this was planned. This woman plops a harp down and plays this. And she said, "Well, I'm going to take this as Andrea followed your family to London and is giving the okay for us to move forward with our idea and plan." And I was like, I'll take it. Yeah. It was unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah, she was talking to you. These are 3 new cards. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Still in beliefs.
2.
What does it mean to live a good life?
Well, one of my favorite things, one of the sayings that I heard that I was like, man, I love that, is the best gift a parent can give a child is a well-lived life of their own. And I just thought, gosh, that is so true. Like when your parents are healthy, free, living their lives, independent, just thriving. As a kid, but when I read that quote, I just kind of loosened it up and was like, the best gift you can give anyone is a well-lived life of your own. And and it just goes in every direction, and it's the perfect equation to freedom and joy, and that's the most joy I can hope for, is when people are living a great life. It makes my life all the better. The people that I love.
I love that answer.
Yeah.
You basically said the best life you could live, your ingredients for a good life, are when the people you love are good.
Yeah.
Are living their best life.
Yeah. You don't feel,
or a version of it.
when people aren't living a good life, and I mean, I guess somebody could say, "Oh, well, that's codependent of you." I don't see it as that. I see it as, you can't ignore the fact that you get weighed down when those that you love are suffering or struggling or they're stuck in some way in life. And I've been stuck. My brother's been stuck. Our parents were stuck in their different ways, and I try so hard to eliminate stress, to be as healthy as I can be, to pursue what makes me happy, because I know that's going to make my kids ultimately happy in their life, is if they don't have to worry about me. And that brings me joy. Like, I just don't want to weigh them down. And so I think about that a lot.
It's our last one.
3.
What's a detail you'd like in your obit?
I always think it's so funny when people die, and I'm not going to end the sentence there.
I mean, you did pitch the movie as like a funny movie, you know.
Yes, I know. But it always makes me laugh when people say, she had her sense of humor to the end. And I always thought it would be so funny to put in my obituary that I lost my sense of humor in the end. Like, and unfortunately, she did lose her sense of humor in the end.
Right.
And I have to say, like, to go back to Andrea, Andrea was, as I said, one of the funniest people I knew, and was also one of the best people to laugh with. I mean, really got it. And and one of my favorite things about Andrea was the lines on their face. Like when they smiled, like it lifted, like lines. Just these incredible lines. But at the end of Andrea's life, God, I was so full of emotion, and I wanted to be close to Andrea, and I pictured I talked to my therapist about, like, gosh, I just want to crawl in bed with Andrea when I get to their house, and I just want to be close to them. And and when I got there, and I crawled in bed to be right next to Andrea, Andrea turned so weak. I mean, this is like 3 days before the end. Andrea turned and pointed to this very mysterious stain on the sheets and said, I don't know what this is, but we'll just blame it on Meg, okay? And like to crawl into bed with all of the heavy emotions and then have my friend turn and say something that just hit me from behind so hard.
Yeah.
I laughed so deeply. Just like, oh my, talk about somebody not losing their sense of humor in the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I'd like that to be. I would love for somebody to say I lost my sense of humor in the end.
We end the show the same way every time, with a trip in our memory time machine. You go back in time to one moment from your past. It's not a moment you would change anything about. It's just a moment you'd like to linger in a little longer. Which moment do you choose?
Oh, I think I would like to linger in my, I'd like to linger on my wedding day.
Yeah.
Yeah. We did our wedding exactly how we wanted to do it. And our parents, siblings, friends, everybody was on board. It was already a non-traditional wedding. And we got married in small town Mississippi, and our friends flew in from the East Coast and West Coast, not just to support us, but also we heard so many times, like, I was not going to miss a gay wedding in the Deep South. Like, how's that going to go? And it was just so beautiful, and it was so celebratory and so joyful. And if I can say one specific moment from that day that was so special.
Yeah.
My stepfather, who has since passed away, when my mother died, everything really fell on him as a parent. Obviously I was grown, my brother and I were grown, but he was a very removed, stoic person. And we weren't very close. He was basically my father since I was 2, but just didn't understand my artistic ways, my failure, dropout path, any of that. But he was always loving and accepting, of me being gay and my girlfriends and whatever. But everything had to be a particular way, and you tuck your shirt in, and you act this way, you say this, you do this. And on my wedding day, it was such a sweet moment. I was in a suit and a button-down shirt, but I wasn't wearing a tie. And in his mind, you have a suit on. You should have a tie on.
You have to wear a tie.
And he said, Tig, would you like to wear my tie? Because in his mind, that was the appropriate way to be dressed. And I said, oh, Rick, I'm not really a tie person. And he said, okay. He said, well, I just wanted to offer my tie to you in case you wanted one. And it was him.
Oh, my God.
Even though he slightly missed the mark of what my fashion sense was, it was him.
But it was a lovely gesture.
It was such an amazing gesture because it wasn't him thinking like, it wasn't anything of like, you're not.
He wasn't trying to fix you.
No, not in any way at all.
Yeah.
And he picked up the slack of, he went cake shopping and tasting with Stephanie's mother and sister and me and my brother. They all my brother and stepfather showed up in such a way, like planning the wedding with Stephanie's mother. And it was just really beautiful. I would hang out. It's more than a moment. It was that whole thing.
Did I see that you guys celebrated an anniversary recently?
Yeah, we're going on 13 years together, but we just celebrated 10 years married, and
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I'm very, very lucky.
Tig Notaro. She produced the new film, the documentary about the poet Andrea Gibson. It is called Come See Me in the Good Light, and you can see it now on Apple TV. Thank you so much, Tig. It was really great to talk with you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
If you like this episode, and I hope you did, you can drop us a comment and let us know. We love hearing from you, truly. You can also like the video and subscribe to the channel to get more from Wildcard.